bomb is actually a lot better in this Legion as well. You get the a much better chance of getting the 2d6 wounds.
But most models have 1 wound.
Yeah, no, but
it's kind of overkill.
Event, yes. Yeah. I mean, for a hero,
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gollum's Gamers podcast, where today we are back with another one of our GBHL 100 event preview episodes, and this time it is for the Wolf's Lair. Now, we did cover this event last year. We all went last year, didn't we? All of us. I think so.
Yeah.
You did go.
Yeah.
And last year it was at 765 points.
750.
Was it 750? What was 765 points last year?
Not Wolf's
City
Lair.
of Kings, wasn't it?
Definitely.
No, not. It was Ali's one.
City of Kings. Yeah.
It was Ali's one in Winchester.
Yeah. And so last year it was 750, but this year it is at 700 points. So tonight we'll be looking at some of the statistics for the event, a look at some of the lists which are going, and as in all of our event preview episodes, at the end we'll be ranking our lists in a tier list. But before we get underway, you can find us on Spotify and Instagram by following the links in the description down below. And for the Spotify listeners, tonight I'm joined by Vince, Ben, and Sam. Now, it's probably worth mentioning here at the start that this is a veto event where each round we will use a different set of scenarios for each round, and each set will contain 3 separate scenarios from 3 different pools in the match play guide. So it won't just be this is the Maelstrom round and you veto from the 3 Maelstrom ones. It will be a mix. So any thoughts on that and the setup there?
Really? Go on, Sam.
I like it personally. It's mainly because it's different. Not a lot of other events you use that.
I'm sure I've seen that before or in a while.
I think I may have seen it once or twice, but like in general, it's people either just do veto from the pool so that everyone gets the similar kind of game, but doing it from 3 random and they're not released just yet, so it's it'll be interesting. Obviously, it gives some key models a better time, i.e. Galadriel.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, none of that risk of contest. But you could still have lists that are like say shooting lists. They could still be put in a pool where both 2 scenarios are bad for shooting lists. So it's not depending on how they do the pools, it's not guaranteed that some lists will get what they want all the time. So I'm intrigued to see how it go. Yeah.
Go on, Ben. What do you think?
I was just going to say something similar to Sam in terms of it's good, but certain lists will do better at it because they can protect themselves against scenarios that they don't particularly want to play. AOL, Goblin Town spring to mind because they can protect themselves against the killer scenarios that they don't like to play, but they can do the maneuvering and the objective ones that they do like to play.
Yeah. I think maybe Leon has done this before, Sam. I think maybe we've been to one of Leon's events where he's done it. Maybe it was his 100s. The 90 we went to.
He hasn't run 100.
He did. He ran one last year, didn't he?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It wasn't. No, it wasn't that one.
Might have been a 90.
Sure. Yeah,
I think we went to a 2-day 90. I think it might have been there.
It might have been. It's I kind of hope that the pools of scenarios aren't a case of like I hope there's at least 1 or 2 of them where they're not two scenarios aren't good for shooting lists, because I think it obviously makes shooting way better. I think
so if you get 2 of those, then
I hope they kind of thought through that if they do all of them to be two good shooting ones and 1 not, it will create a lot of bad play experience, I think, for a lot of people that don't have it. So.
I would imagine that he's just going to roll in 3 pools and
I think he's just going to do it randomly. I don't think he's going to set it up on purpose.
I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with doing it that way though to set them up, so you can say, look, these are three that I think go well together for these reasons. Let's have that as the round one pool, and then do the same for all the other six. Like, because you get better games where if you just leave it as chance, like you get the situations where you get multiple good scenarios for, say, shooting, for example, in one round, and then that can really kind of skew things. So interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, if we are happy, we will move on to start looking at some of the statistics. Starting things off with the faction breakdown. So no surprises here at the top spot with 5 appearances. Fewer than we might see usually, though, in our other GBHL 100 previews, but 5 appearances for Mordor for the audio listeners. Then with a 4-way tie with 4 appearances for second place, we have Serpent Horde, Lothlorien, Rivendell, and Halls of Thranduil. James would be pleased. And then a 4-way tie again for third place. We have armies like AOL, Isengard, Minas Tirith, and Rohan. So any thoughts from this one?
Not surprising at all. Mordor, Serpent Horde, very strong across all the scenarios.
Yeah.
Lothlorien, obviously Galadriel can be saved against contest champions and it then becomes very strong. Halls of Thranduil is becoming a bit of a more popular pick. And again, that can protect against the ones where it's got to spread out and move quickly across the board. Legolas will be key for certain scenarios. And I'd imagine he's dropped into quite a few lists. And then Isengard's strong at 700 points. It's won quite a few GBHL 100s already this year. And performed well. So not at all surprised. AOL's good as well.
I think I'm quite surprised to see 3 pure Rohans. I mean, not pure Rohan, but seeing the actual faction and not a legendary legion in there. That's something that we don't usually see at GBHL 100s at all, really. But I imagine those are allied. Probably all of them, I would say.
Probably Rohan Loth, most likely.
Yeah. Halls of Thranduil, though, yeah, like you said, Ben, kind of, I imagine maybe 1 or 2 of those are probably pure, and then the other 2 are probably leggy drops, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mordor Serpent Horde is the only one out of the top, most popular that are not shooting lists. Loth, Rivendell, Thranduil, AOL, Isengard, all shooty.
Yeah.
Depending on what you take in Minas Tirith, maybe Madrill with the Rangers and so on and so forth. Again, Sottenham's deep. So, yeah.
There is a chance that some of the Mordors have the Shadow Lord in there with Blinding Light, but I'd imagine as there's 4 Serpent Hordes, that's most likely for Witch King Sully lists. But outside of that, I mean, in the top 4 factions where you've got Loth and Rivendell there as well, that's 8 Blinding Lights in there. So,
yeah, assuming they all have, I imagine they would all have Kiradam.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, as well as AOL is similar kind of vibe.
Yeah. So, and I mean, looking a bit further down, shout out to Ben Haslam. There's a Defenders of Erebor down there.
It's not me
making that call again. Did you run that at multiple events, or was it just the one?
And I've done it to a few events.
A few.
It works nicely at that 600 to 700 points.
Would you get the 2 Thorian and Hard, and then what else?
I'd run it with the 2 big kings, and then you get a Dale captain dropped in, pretty much.
Just for March, yeah.
Yeah, for that March, and then obviously in Divide and Conquer, you can put the captain across the other side of the board, and then you've got your entire army pretty much.
Yeah, in one side.
One side, ready to just sweep.
Divide and Conquer is like the benchmark for almost every list that we talk about on this podcast. How would you split up your warbands in Divide and Conquer? It's important, I guess. Only 1 Erebor reclaimed. I was maybe a little bit surprised at. We usually see them quite a lot, but I guess at 700, you kind of struggle with the elite cost of the dwarves. I don't know.
The Rangers of Ithilien could be interesting. I know there's a lot of blinding light, but it works at 700, and it can, again, in the format of the tournament,
the Veto,
it could become very strong in that. So that'd be interesting to see how that does.
Yeah, and who's taking it? Not sure. Yeah. Any thoughts, Vince, on this one before we move on? Last thought?
It's nice to see a good spread of different lists, even though you get your typical Mortal Serpent Horde and Loth. Do see a few rogue picks. Rise of the Necromancer,
a pure Moria in there.
Yeah. Fiefdoms. I don't know if that's going to be pure.
Could be. Yeah. I think it is, actually, from memory. I think it is.
2 Corsairs of Umbar.
Yes.
Which is pretty tasty. You probably see it at, I think it's pretty strong at low points. At 700 points, I don't know if you've gone that pure or ally it with.
Well, we may be having a look a little bit later on, Vince, so you will find out. Sam immediately just has a hard on. Okay. We will leave it there then, I think, for the faction breakdown. We will move on to the leader breakdown, where at the top spot with 5 appearances as well, 5 Mordors, means 5 Witch Kings, although there was a Angmar in there as well. So 5 Witch Kings as the top spot. Then in second place, we have Galadriel with 4 appearances. Then in a 4-way tie for third place, we have Boromir from Minas Tirith, Lurtz, Musgur, and Thranduil. So any initial takeaways from this one?
I think all pretty standard. Obviously, Musgo has to be OL, Witch King makes sense. Galadriel again is good in this format. Boromir is a good hero, which again people like. So I'm not totally wowed. Bolg is a bit of a rogue.
2 Bolgs, yeah. I was like, oh.
And with there being 2 Dalamirs, that means all of the Serpent. There's no Saladin, right?
No.
So that means I assume both Corsairs do have Saladin in.
They're allied, because he's not the leader yet.
As well as, the Mordor. So there's no pure Serpent Horde. And then the rest, Groblog leader, I'll rate that.
Groblog. A Ring Wraith as well. We may be looking at that list.
Ring Wraith is a bit sus.
Very sus, as we will see.
No, I'm not. The stuff that is usually good. It stays at the top.
Is at the top.
The more rogue picks. So I guess maybe might see maybe a Thor 1 more or 2 if you just go if you just go the 3 heroes or the 2 heroes and a captain, 4 warbands. That's it can be quite decent at this point, I think. But
you usually see a couple of those.
I'm not surprised by this, apart from Bolg.
A Faramir there as well, which is pretty naughty.
That's gonna be Ranger Thillian, no?
That's the Ranger Thillian.
Of course. Oh yeah.
I think me and Ben know who that is as well. I'd hope Ben would know.
Yep. See if he wins best painted.
Yeah. See if it does again. Yeah, I'm not surprised by this.
No. Any other thoughts from anyone on this? No? Okay. We will leave it there then. And we move on to start looking at the lists for this evening. And we are going to kick it off with the Corsair list. But Sam was incorrect, as this one is not allied.
How many Silivans were there? 4 or 5?
4. Sam doing math.
Oh, so it's all 7. Sure. I thought it was 5. Yeah, makes sense.
So this Corsair list is led by Dalamir, who's leading 9 Corsairs with shield, 4 with shield spear, and 5 with just spear. Then he has Delgamar leading 7 more with shield and another 7 with spear. Then he has 2 Corsair captains with crossbow. One of them is leading 9 Arbalisters and the other is leading 8. So it's 53 models, 19 bows, which is a shit ton. Including the Arbalisters and the captains, and 8 might. So we should probably come to Sam first on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you're going to run Corsairs pure, the top 2 heroes are guaranteed, the captain's guaranteed, and I guess if you're running it pure, a bosun is guaranteed as well.
Oh, sorry, I totally botched that. Sorry. one of those Arbalist warbands is led by a captain, the other by a bosun. So,
Yeah, I think I don't know how this will do within Veto, is my thinking, because obviously you have a lot of crossbows. Well, 19 crossbows is a fair amount.
good.
I probably would have split the crossbows between all 4 warbands. I wouldn't have gone 9 and 8.
Yeah, I'm not sure you need that many.
It's a bit outrageous number, if I'm honest. Going, 5 in 3 of them and 4 in 1 of them is probably best to have pockets of them all over the board and get better shooting angles. But yeah, again, I guess you can kind of drop banner scenarios if you're worried about playing one. But maybe have taken a black nun with a banner just to get it.
Do you really want to max out on the models? Is that
you definitely do with Corsairs, because they're all, I mean, a fair amount of this is D3, so what, 7, 12, and then all the Arbalists in combat at D3, so it's not loads of D4, and it's not a lot of might. What, 3, 5, 7, 8? Yeah, totally says on the left as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think it will be better in the format with obviously Veto, but it's only the one striker being Dalamir, and he's your leader. And again, it was a case of, will the scenarios be, 1 is 2 are bad for shooting? I think it's going to have a tough time. And I guess with the blinding light really
a lot of them
hurts this.
This is really hoping, I guess, to just maximize on the crossbows and be fight 4 and trap with a high amount of models. But yeah, if you play against blinding light in, say, half of your matchups, you're probably not going to end up doing that well. That's just part of the any thoughts, Vince or Ben, on this one?
There's a lot of fight 5 floating around the competition as well, because of the elves. Higher. Boz with his banner, Dragon Emperors. There's a fair amount of fight 5 going around. And the way that the warbands are set up, it looks like he's going to try and hold a line with 2 of the warbands and shoot from the flanks with the other 2. So we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. It's like being a fight 4 spam, I mean, is an odd place these days to be, I think.
It's kind of like 53 models is a lot. But I mean, and what, 32 of this has throw weapons, and then including all the heroes. So
of course,
it's a lot of shooting, but it basically comes down to the scenario pick, and if you can actually, as well as board, like if you can't really flank with a fair amount of this and actually trap, it won't really kill because it's only strength 3. Bosuns are just so bad. I really don't like bosuns at all. The 1 might is it's just so poor. Like Suladan would make this better, like by far. And because it's, you have 3 points of march here, which is good for an infantry force, but I'm unsure. I like it as a pure. I think if you're going to go pure Corsairs, it's probably the route to go.
Yeah, for pure. Yeah.
Again, I guess maybe you even just sack off the bosun and get another captain for a fight 5 to attack person, and because hopefully you have enough dice everywhere to kind of like a Hunter Orc-esque with no banner, but and get the point of might, because that's what Corsairs usually lack, is might.
With the bosun.
I'll be intrigued to see how it does into terror as well, because obviously black nuns, if you can shoot them, great. If in a scenario you can, but courage 2 everywhere with Harbinger.
Yeah, I know how that feels. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts on this one from everyone?
Yeah, I'm unsure as well. I think the reason why Corsairs can struggle is because they just don't have anything to deal with big heroes. Once it gets to combat, it's a bunch of D3 and D4, and if you're facing like a couple of mounted cav, they're just kind of just ripping through. And if you're coming up against a high fight hero, I mean, does Delgamar have strike?
No.
Yeah, so Dalamir's will strike, but you're not really risking your leader to do that. So
no
you're basically you're just hoping to like shoot into combat, and basically your plan A is shooting, and if that doesn't work, you kind of just melt, don't you?
Die.
That's the problem with it.
Admittedly, if you shoot 17 crossbows into a hero on horse, their horse is probably dead.
Yeah.
And they've probably taken a few wounds, maybe one or two.
You're probably not getting all of them though. You're probably
I mean, you're not.
I think it good, but
but you're killing your guy, which is essentially the same.
Of course,
like they do have things to negate big heroes, but that with Corsair you need all your numbers. Like this amount of Arbalisters need to be in the fight. You can't just have them in the back because your line is so thin and so fragile that you will just lose so quick. So you need to kind of shoot, but also make sure they're close enough to push up. And be there.
Obviously, the throwing weapons are a range sort of thing you got to think about as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I think that's going to do it. So we will move on from this Corsair list to a Halls of Thranduil and Erebor Reclaimed alliance. This was the only Erebor Reclaimed list. So it is led by Thorin, who is on Goat with Orcrist, who's leading 6 Iron Hills Dwarves with Shield, 5 with Shield and Spear, 4 with Crossbow and Spear, and 1 with Banner, Spear and Shield. Then he has a Iron Hills Captain on Goat with Spear, leading 6 Iron Hills Dwarves with Shield, and another 6 with Shield and Spear. And then he's allied in from Halls of Thranduil, Leggy on horse with 1 Mirkwood Cav with Shield. So it's 32 models. Only 5 bows, including Leggy, which isn't that great, crossbows and Leggy, and 8 might. So it's sort of a 5 armies light sort of list, I guess. At 700, you sort of don't have many points to play with. Who wants to kick this one off?
It's got a solid battle line. Leggy will be able to pressure opponents' heroes and leaders. I was going to say the Witch King isn't a massive fan of Legolas.
No.
It's got a solid wall, but it's going to get flanked quite easily. I think the model count for this tournament is probably around 40, and at 32 you're on the lighter side.
Indeed.
So it could struggle that way. But yeah, it's just solid, and it'll be interesting to see how this one does. Kind of gone for all the big toys in the list, and could maybe have done with having more dwarves.
I was going to say less dwarves, if anything. I mean, the fact that you've got Leggy and you've got the access to the elves, I'd maybe drop some of the dwarves, and you want some 5/5 supports in there, and like they're the same points, I guess, roughly, right? So I'm sure you could have still kept 32 models and got some 5/5 in there. I get that you probably want Leggy just as a drop with 1 cav, but yeah, if you're allying in Halls of Thranduil, you've got access to the 5/5. I get that you lose the shield wall, but what do we think about the Iron Hills captain over someone like Biffa, who we see
it's needed for the march?
Oh, for the march,
yeah,
it's needed for the march.
I think you could either go the way of. I think this would have been a little bit better if you either if you're going to take these 3 heroes, drop some dwarfs and get access to 5/5 Elven Blades.
Just a few even,
But I think at 700 points, it's I think potentially just Legolas into Biffa would have, and just going all dwarfs and getting the model count up.
Yeah, more dwarves
would be better, because I mean, I think Block is putting 36 dwarfs in front of someone with Thorin, and you still have a 5+ Master Battle Captain with Biffa for moves. It's I think that's probably the way I would have gone. Legolas,
I agree with you.
Yeah, Legolas he obviously is really, really good, but I just
the model
5 blows. I just wish I had either higher moral count and defense to negate having the amount of bows you have and just walk forward and not really care, or take more bows with Legolas and try and get a shooting advantage. But I mean, yeah, I do like it. I wouldn't be surprised. I wonder if the veto does help this enough, I think is the thing.
No.
You could probably get some up close deployment for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Or 24-inch, sorry.
Yeah, and you're straight in.
I don't know if I would have paid the 10 points for Orcrist.
Yeah, considering how light on numbers you are, but I mean, what does it really net you? I don't know.
You can get another elf, or you can maybe just turn something into a sentinel of some sort. Like,
oh, of course, he's got access to a sentinel there as well.
Yeah, you could probably get something like, I don't know.
Yeah, you drop Orcrist and what a do with shield and spear, and you're almost there.
Orcrist and then 1 Iron Hills crossbow and spear is 13. Then you change some of the dwarfs to just shield, and you get 2 of them to shield. You get sentinel, but it's it depends. It's definitely a decent list.
That was interesting.
I think it could be optimized a little bit better here and there. Just thingy, but.
And it's just at 700 as well. Yeah, you're sort of really struggling for points because as soon as you put in that third hero that's a little bit on the pricier side, Leggy being over 100 points, you really sort of struggle with elite army to sort of fill out the warbands with enough troops. And I think that's what we see here, really.
Yeah, it feels like a 750, 800 point list that's been trimmed off to make a 700 point list.
And we may be seeing another one of those a little bit later. Any thoughts, Vince, on this one before we move on?
Yeah, the Iron Hills captain, he's pretty expensive, isn't he? With the war goat and the war spear.
90 points.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he wants the march, but it doesn't feel like he's very worth it.
I think another angle that this could have gone is Lake Town captain, fill out Legolas.
Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, maybe if you really want the march, a Lake Town captain and just some guys, and then I don't even have a problem with Legolas. I think I have more of a problem with the captain, the Iron Hills captain. But yeah, it's a lot of dwarves. It's still 32 is okay. I mean, dwarves are very hard to kill. So
with the shield wall as well. I guess that's kind of what you lose. But I mean, if you're getting charged into by a mounted hero anyway, the shield wall doesn't really matter because you're not pro. But for the line fights, it's nice.
And I think Erebor Reclaim really shines when you can have a lot of the named heroes. So like Glor and Dwalin, they're really good. They add a lot of punch. And this list feels like it is lacking a bit of hitting power. It's got staying power, but Legolas he's okay in combat, but you bring him the shooting, right? And the only kind of hero that's killing stuff is Thorin, but he doesn't even do it that reliably either. So you're kind of sticking around, but you might be in a situation where you're not killing much either.
Yeah. It's just a grindy Iron Hills list.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. That's sort of what we're looking at. Yeah. So okay, I think we will leave it there then. So we will move on from this list to a Rohan Lothlorien alliance. As yes, we saw earlier, there were 3 pure Rohans. One of them is allied with Lothlorien. So this list is led by Galadriel, who's leading 3 Galadriel warriors with shield spear, 4 with bow and spear, 1 with banner, spear, and shield, 6 guard of the Galadriel court, 1 wood elf warrior with elf bow and wood elf spear, and 1 wood elf sentinel. Then from Rohan, he has allied in Thairdred on horse with shield, leading 12 royal guard with throwing spears, 1 royal guard on horse, 2 Rohan outriders, which won't be on horses, and then he also has Dernhelm as well. So it's 35 models, 8 bows. Obviously, he's got a lot of throwing spears in there as well, and 9 might. So this has got the blinding light. It's got 2 mounted fight 5 combat heroes, which is pretty good. A full front line of Royal Guard, Fearless, which is obviously really good. I used a similar list to this in a practice game against you with your Watcher, where I had the Royal Guard front line because I was sort of using Rohan Loth a little bit with Grimbold with the Helmingus, but for the Strength 4, which is nice, but the D5 and being low courage against Lost of Terror was just kind of, it's just not that great. It causes lots of issues in quite a lot of matchups. So getting the Fearless with the Royal Guard and the D6 in the front line is really good. But you pay a price for it. So 35 models isn't too bad though. It doesn't have much though, right?
No.
This is something that it is missing. But other than that, it does tick a lot of boxes. What do we think?
Obviously,
No, go on.
No, you, Vince. You go first, mate.
No, I was going to say similar to the last list, although the last list at least had strength 4. I mean, this is just all strength 3. I know you've got the 2 hitty mounted heroes, which kind of makes up for it, but your line is just all strength 3, isn't it?
It's a trade-off though, right? Like I guess.
Yeah.
But...
So yeah, it's a decent list. It's got decent numbers, and obviously you at least you're bringing the fight 5, and you've got the 2 hitty heroes. So
yeah,
and Galadriel. It's a decent list. The other version was you could consider bringing what's his face, Grimbold.
Yeah,
the Helmingers, but this is like you're trading Grimbold for a better hero.
Yeah, I think if I'm choosing between D5 and strength 4 or strength 3, D6 and fearless, I'm probably just going to hope that if I play D6, I don't roll really badly.
Yeah, I think the meta is pretty strength 4 heavy though as well. So I don't know how valuable D6 is anymore. I mean, it's still better than D5, obviously.
I think it's just the fearless as well. Like the amount of times with the Helmingus at the front, you then play a terrible and it just completely screws up the game. You know,
yeah.
What are they courage 3 base?
Yeah.
Courage 3. So your courage 2 trying to charge, like it's just terrible. Like, sure, you've got the elves there, but your line is, you know, the Helmingus at the front. And
yeah, I probably still prefer this. Yeah. I think.
But like you pay a heavy tax for it to get the 12 Royal Guard, but I think if I'm picking one or the other, I'm probably taking the Royal Guard. I think experience choosing it. What do you think about the 2 Outriders, not on horse?
Outriders are good.
2 extra bows at 3+ shoot value.
Not bad.
It's for objectives, aren't they? The Vanguard rule. They're good. Outriders are good.
Yeah, the stand fast. Yeah.
12 line is good enough for the Royal Guard. I mean, I think obviously this has no march, but you can avoid some of that with Veto. I still think there's better ways of running Rohan Loth with march. I think I've only just really been, don't know if the word's enlightened, but I think there, I know there is a list going that has Erkenbrand in it.
Oh yeah, because I saw when you're actually going to take.
I was looking at taking it.
You're eyeing him up.
I genuinely was thinking of taking it because the more I looked at the list, I thought that's actually really good.
No, Erkenbrand's terrible.
No, he's not. In a list, when it comes down to,
it's one of the worst Rohan heroes.
Pick Erkenbrand right now. Go
for us at 700 point meta, where if you look at the past list that won, a lot of it is Witch King or with Spider Queen with Shadow Lord, and obviously Terror, double Wraith, and when you can take Grimbold, Erkenbrand, Dernhelm, and Galadriel, get +2 courage, strength 4, fight 6, +2 courage 5 frontline, and still have a person to compel with Grimbold, and then go into Pierce, strength 5, strength 7, 2-hand with Grimbold to kill stuff. And you get 36 models. Like, that's still a good amount. It's more than this.
Have you changed your mind, Vince?
No, not really.
Because you basically get fight. You get more Galadriel Court, I think, and then strength 4 and a courage 5.
Erkenbrand is he's just the Rohan captain, though, isn't he? He's got 2 attacks.
You still fight 5, 3 might, strength 5, charge, march, +2 courage.
March? I didn't know that. Oh, that solves the problem.
Yeah, march. He's got march. Then you have +2 courage. It gives you. It solves a lot of issues that, i.e., the terror wall that Elliot was talking about.
Are you saying, sorry, that you can take Erkenbrand and then you don't have to take the Royal Guard?
No, exactly. You can take.
You can take the Helmingus because then it's
Helmingus, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
And then you take Dernhelm as well with Galadriel and Grimbold.
Do you get this amount of numbers still?
Yeah, 36 models.
It's pretty tasty.
So it kind of solves a lot of the issues.
The strength 4?
Strength 4, yeah.
What, you go from courage 3 down to courage 2, but then back up to courage 4?
Yeah.
Is that right? And is that just for all the Rohan? Isn't it within like 6 inches?
It's just a Warhorn.
Oh,
It's just a +2 courage war.
I thought it was an effect. Oh.
Yeah, so like Dernhelm's like courage 7.
You
know,
that's interesting.
Pretty good. But like this, I think you just got to hope that not a lot of March scenarios come up where, you veto one, which is bad for you. They veto one, which is shooty and blind light's really, really beneficial. And then you kind of play one where you need to maneuver a decent amount. Like, is it just one horse? Yeah, just one horse.
Yeah, the one.
So, you got the heroes.
Can also kind of be an issue because you can't.
Theodred can. Galadriel's really good with Theodred as well, just because of you can make sure that he gets the strength 5 and the compelling with him is good. Yeah, it's I think it's a decent way to run Rohan Loth. Is if the no March version, I think this is probably it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any final thoughts, Ben, before we move on?
Nope, none. Well covered.
Cool. Okay then. In that case, we will move on to our lists, and to start off with, we are going to be looking at Adam's Mordor soup list, if you can call it that. So this is the list that is being led by the Ring Wraith. So it's led by a Ring Wraith on foot. That's very odd to say, with 2 might, 7 will, and 2 fate. Obviously, you would pay the extra 5 points for a point of fate when he's your leader, who is leading 2 Morgul Stalkers, 5 Mariners with Shield, and 5 with Shield Spear. Then he has Guritz leading 1 Wild Rider with Throwing Spear, 6 Mariners with Shield, and 5 with Shield Spear. Zagdouche leading the same warband, but with a Morannon with Banner and Shield. And then Kardouche leading a Orc Drummer, 4 Orcs with Spear, 3 Orc Trackers, and 4 Morgul Stalkers. So 52 models, 3 bows there on the Orc Trackers, and 9 might. So lots of low-cost heroes. Double caster, he's got March in there, a drum, so it's 52 models just running at you pretty fast with the March as well. Lots of D6. What do we think? Ben, I'm coming to you first on this one.
It's very similar to Clubby's list from Bath, I believe, is where Adam took his inspiration. I think so, yeah. I think that's what he was mentioning that he was going for. Cardiff will like this because obviously he can pop a lot of the orcs to get his will back, and he's got a lot of orcs to pop, so he's not taking from a low model count army. So Cardiff can deal with enemy heroes and leaders quite well by just fireballing them. Guritz, he's very good for Maelstrom coming on the board, so Adam's going to get to choose where he wants to come on. Which would be really good when he could potentially play 3 Maelstrom missions out of the 6. For out of his 6 games, half of them could be Maelstrom, which is strong. And then the Ring Wraith with the drum can redeploy where he needs to. He's not going to be massively worried about the shooting because he's got that 12-inch movement a turn if he needs it. Can understand the Ring Wraith being on foot, so it can hide a bit better. It's a very budget Wraith, but I would imagine he's not doing masses with him. He's just keeping the points down to get more models. And killing 27 models, even though the orcs, could be hard work.
Agreed. Vince, what do you think on this one? Has Adam, mentioned it to you at all?
Yeah. I don't know, really. I think Morannons are good value, but in this meta where there's just a lot of strength 4 and you're going to be facing a lot of fight 4 plus, I just don't know, like, if the line will really hold against those kind of lists.
I think his 52 model list is going to crumble.
Yeah, it's a horde, but 52 models is not quite it's not as much as I thought you'd get, maybe.
He has gone kind of
5-3.
He has gone
but
as cheap as he could possibly go with the heroes, really, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The Corsair list is only 53 models. And like, this is going to absolutely spank that Corsair list in a fight, even though it's got the higher fight. As soon as Adam wins a fight, they're dead Corsairs. Also worth pointing out, for when if he goes into Mordor or anything else for Terra, Kardash can pop up a Fury for a turn. So even if he gets his will sapped, he can just pop a new Orc,
have it for one turn,
and then have Fury again for one more turn, get everything in, and then essentially that Ringwraith is then wasting its spells on Kardash sapping its will each turn. So he has a solution to Terra,
which is good. Yeah, and the drum as well. He isn't really worried about taking maybe 2 turns of shooting. He's fine with that. He's just going to run at whatever he's facing, and he's probably going to get there with 50 models. And
Cool. I mean, we're saying he might beat the Corsairs list, but any other lists this fancies? I'm not sure really.
It's a lot. It's 52 D6 models that can move 12 inches. You can very easily with the drum wrap round and actually tag spear sports. You have Fury for the Terror stuff, and realistically that Wraith is doing 2 spells and then is hiding. Courage 6 leader. You have a ability to Black Dart a horse, and maybe transfixing the hero for 1 turn, and that's really it. Which is again all you need from it, because your 50 Moranans that are gonna be essentially everywhere. If you lose a fight, we're against the straight 4 rerolling 1s, you will just probably die. I think a lot of the dwarf lists will be outmaneuvered by this to shit. 20 more models and can redeploy a large amount of them round. Like even if you anchor in between terrain, it only takes 1 turn for this list to go round. And even if you have a semi bad turn, maybe lose 5-6, that's not horrendous in the grand scheme of things. You still have enough, I think.
Adam loves a little cheeky redeploy as well, doesn't he?
He loves a feint. So I actually think it's very similar to Clubby's list, and Clubby did well at Bath with it. So I'm intrigued to see how Adam does. He's my mind's telling me no.
Rooting for the guy.
Not with his body though, and I respect it.
With the Galadriel as well there's a lot of Galadriel, like she's gonna be there to transfix. Besides Blind Knight, she's there to transfix a big scary hero that can make a mess of that of the Lothlorien lines. Galadriel's not really going to do anything against this list because there's nothing to transfix particularly. There's no shooting coming at the elves. The orcs are just going to move in pretty fast, and that's kind of 130 points, not doing much besides just being a leader.
Transfix Zagdush.
That's literally one of the words coming out of my mouth. What's she going to do? Transfix Zagdush.
Zagdush.
Fight forward striker. Oh no.
I'm going to stop Zagdush.
The terror. Shit.
I like it.
I think that's going to do it for Adam's Mordor Horde. We will see how he gets on. Moving on then, we are going to come to my last alliance list. So it is led by a Isildur on horse with shield and the ring, who's leading 4 warriors and Numenor with shield, 4 with spear shield, 3 with bone spear, and 1 with shield and banner. Then we have Numenor captain on horse with lance, heavy armor, shield, so all the kit. Then from Rivendell, we have Eristor leading 5 elves with shield, 3 with spear shield, 3 with bow spear, and 1 Rivendell knight with shield. And then Círdan leading 2 with shield and 2 with bow and spear. So 32 models. This was that other 32 model list I was talking about. So for 700, it is the lower side. 9 bows though with the blinding light is okay, but obviously they're not all elf bows. We've got 3 of the man bows in there, normal bows, and 8 might. So I've used this at a couple events recently. Have I used it at 2 events? I think I've used it at 2, 800 and 750. So this sort of list at those points, you just beef out these warbands with troops. But at 700, I've chosen to keep the same heroes, but obviously you have to lower the model count to fit them in. So that's kind of the trade-off. So what do we think?
This reeks of James Goble, I'll tell you that. He stinks of him.
Is there any changes?
There are. I wrote this ages ago now, though, and I can't actually remember what they are, but there's a couple, I think. Yeah.
I say it looks identical to James's.
Yeah, there's I think I took a spear off of the banner and I put it somewhere else, and I think something in one of the elf warbands is different, but yeah.
I mean, it's solid. I think the model count is fairly low. 32 with 4 heroes like that is okay though. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah.
I think Veto will be interesting.
I didn't actually know when I submitted this list that it was Veto. It was only when I checked the event back before doing this pod that I realized it was even Veto. I knew I was going to go to this event regardless, so I didn't really even read the back. And I knew I was going to take this list anyway, just because I've now recently painted it up. So this is kind of what I'm wanting to use. I was going to maybe take the Emperor with Captain and Double Dragon Knight. That was maybe something I was going to do, but this is what I painted up recently, so that's what I'm using.
Yeah, I don't know how Veto impacts this to the
yeah.
How many? It's 9 bows. It's not
do you benefit from the shooting that much?
Yeah, I don't think your shooting is going to be insane. I think this will be. I mean, it's just 1 Rev Knight, Captain on horse. It's just sort of.
They've still got a knight in there, but you've really got to scrape away to fit in the 4 heroes. You can drop I was maybe going to drop the heavy armor on the captain to then move some things around and upgrade a couple things. But yeah, just having the D7 if you're into a strength 4 army or strength 4 heroes is just really good for captain to just live and be annoying.
Yeah, I'm thinking how many frontline elves is it? 5, 3, 10.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put more spears on the elves or on the Numenor, so that I could have more versatility with what I have at the front.
Yeah, because I use this at the Nations Cup, essentially, and the ability to choose whether you need, if you're playing straight 4, having D5 at the front and then D6.
But I saw as well when I worked it out, you'd only really get a couple more dudes on your line which you could switch around. So it probably wasn't changing that much.
This an 8 long line of D5, so you're going to have some D6 anyway. It's not going to be.
You basically have 7 D6 elves at the front, and that's sort of what you've got. So decent little chunk of the line, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was of the amount of Witch Kings will kind of semi-stop Isildur, as well as the number of fight 6 pikes. If people are moving second, can be annoying for Isildur. So I have to see how that goes for him. But it's got a lot of the tools that is really good. I mean, Isildur being a China Blaze before you dismount, or you dismount and China Blaze as he goes before he puts the ring on. It's pretty good. I mean, you call a combat and anything that is within 6 needs to do something. It needs to be bubble wrapped kind of thing. I think Adam's list against this would be pretty good. I mean,
I was going to ask if you'd be afraid of Adam's Mordor horde.
I mean, Shay's got 21 more models than me, so it better be on a Spanish sort of board with the terrain if I'm going to have any sort of chance, I guess.
Yeah, you got to have a great scenario or have 2 anchor points that no one can get through.
Yeah.
Nothing
it's going to take a while for them to get round, but with Adam's list, that probably wouldn't be the case. But yeah, I'm hoping for some good boards where, and I mean, even looking at some of the other sort of lists, like we mentioned before, sort of the 38 to 40 model count list is probably the most kind of average for your Witch King Sullys and things like that. And I don't feel that bad at 32, considering I've got the 4 heroes. Like, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
You just need to, if you have a couple of turns early that don't go that well, it can be really quite hard to recover from that and sort of regain control. Yeah.
I think what's key with this list is you need to find a really nice choke point to fight in. So this list does so well just bunched up in a chokehold.
Yeah.
And if you can get that,
yeah,
if you can get that, this list is actually really good, and you won't really feel having lower models. It doesn't matter. Like this is where this shines. So if you manage to fight, anything pretty much in the place you want, it can actually go pretty well.
That's really solid. Yeah. And with Veto, maybe I can try and get rid of some of those scenarios where it's less likely that I'm going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I think 32 is a fine number. Like, last year at Masters, Ali came second with a 32 model dwarf list. Admittedly, that's dwarfs at D7.
Yeah.
So
I think that's where the difference is, kind of with, sure, I've got 7 D6 elves, but then outside of that, there is a lot of D5. And if you have a couple of bad turns, suddenly the model count is really quite low and things aren't looking great.
I think that's the main thing. I think realistically, you can only have one bad turn with this.
Yeah.
If you have 2, you're pretty done.
I mean, or if you're sort of like, having equal or better sort of output, because the 5/5 with the strength 4 is really, really good.
Yeah.
So this can kill a lot. So if you're kind of keeping pace or exceeding that, then, if you have even one turn where you lose a fair few and you don't really kill anything, like even just that one turn can be too much. So
I think you're gonna have to play very smart with this, Elliot, but I think you can do well.
Yeah, it's a good list. Yeah. We'll see.
If you use the terrain properly, it's a really good list.
There's lots to do with it. Yeah. Any thoughts, Ben, before we move on?
No, everyone's covered it fairly well. We know what the list can do. It's very solid, but you need to maximize its output.
Yeah, with the low model count. Yeah. Okay. We will leave it there. We will move on to Sam's Halls of Thranduil and Survivors of Lake Town Alliance. If you would like to take us through it for the Spotify listeners.
Yes. So I've taken my Halls of Thranduil, well, not mine, it's James's, but we move. So got Thranduil basically with all the upgrades, no mount, and then 2 Palace Guard with Shield Spear, 1 Palace Guard with Banner Shield Spear, 7 Mirkwood Elves Shield, 4 elves with Bow and Glaive, 1 Cav and a Sentinel, and then Legolas on a horse, 5 elves with Shield, 3 elves with Bow and Glaive, and then 1 Cav. And then a Lake Town Militia Captain for March, with 3 with Militia Shield, 2 with Shield Spear, and then 3 with Bow Spear. So it's 36 models. The 12 bows, one of them being Legolas. I kind of realized after I submitted this that I actually could have had another elf bow, which I totally just overlooked. I just originally thought that I was maxed out.
Lonely Knight would have told you that.
It's because I think I originally counted it, but I mean, the only problem is that it would have been really, really cursed to shuffle stuff around to actually find the points for the bow because it's 2 points. Like I would have had to change a fair amount, which I actually don't know if it would have been better in the end anyway. But yeah, I've got obviously the Terror Bubble will catch everything with this list. I get my Fight 7 hero with, Thranduil is on foot, is a fairly safe leader. And the +1 to wound is so good. I think the however many dwarf lists there are, and I mean, like if you come up against a Witch King Sully list, like I've probably only got like 4 models less or so than what they'd have, and whether it's a shooting scenario or not, the +1 is just ridiculous. And with the Fight 6, Legolas has play into heroes, killing horses and threatening stuff. 2 Cav as well. It doesn't make me horrendously bad into some of the movement based ones, and a Sentinel to boot. And it's also got the March. And I mean, Lake Town Militia basically become 6-point elves when they're spear sporting on the flank because they're still strength 3. And as long as all your elves are in the 3-inch +1. Anything outside of that, they become essentially just an elf with the spear sport. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I had a few practice games this weekend just gone and was happy with how it plays. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
Any thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, I like this. You pretty much covered all bases with this. It's decent numbers, got high fight, really good heroes, and yeah, the +1 to wound is really good, and you got the terror as well.
Yeah.
As long as you don't face any sap wills.
Or a Nasdaq.
Not Nasdaq.
Pretty sure we won't see any of that this weekend. But yeah.
If Nasdaq doesn't nick my sword and become fight 7, I'll be fine.
You're good. Yeah. You do love a Lake Town militia captain, don't you, Sam? I don't know how many times I've played against you, and you've got your little cursed captain.
So good. 40 points. No, never paid for a shield ever. But 40 points for it is just criminal, you know. I mean, that essentially becomes a fight 5, 2 attack, piercing, striking at straight 5.
Piercing for 40 points. It's just fucking dumb.
Straight 5, fight 5. You know.
Yeah.
You could do a number on a battle line with behind him.
Yeah, the elves go really well into Witch King Sully.
Yeah.
So do we think the elf man combo is the best out of the whole Battle 5 armies combinations?
I think so.
700 points, yes.
Yeah.
Right. This is the way to run Franjo's Halls at 700 points. It's a really, really strong list. It's just kind of perfectly balanced in every single way. It can do what it needs to do.
Yeah, the +1 is just so much fun. It's just better than having strength 4 because like you have strength 4. It's like, oh, okay, you know, I've got a line that can kind of kill stuff until you play dwarves or something, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and the knockdown as well.
Yeah,
for that one turn, you could literally just shred the entire army in one turn.
Sam loves the gimmick as well.
It's like when I played 2 Jack's Dwarf lists on the weekend as well as Ali's, and against Jack, I had one turn where, you know, winning on 5s, rerunning 1s is just dirty against dwarfs.
Did you guys go to Luke's in the end?
Yeah.
That way you were? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't see any pictures or anything.
Yeah, we were just
gaming.
Yeah, like be able to kill dwarfs so easy is so nice, and like, you know, having he had Thorin and stuff, and it's like, okay, Thorin's goes dead. You know, that's one turn, he's not doing anything, whilst my line shreds yours. And I mean, it's just solid. Yeah. I don't, apart from the bow, but even then, I don't know if I would change that. I'm thinking about it, but it's good. I mean, it's a Southeast event, so I'd like to do well because that's the region I compete in. So I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you do well with this.
Crossbows are a problem, but I mean, again, hopefully hopefully some form of veto I can sort out, or play a scenario that I can outmaneuver maybe.
Yeah. Who won the tournament at Luke's? I'm interested. Or do you not do a tournament?
Farmer. We played 3 games in the end. We were going to play 4, but Farmer won with Rise of Theoden, and then me and Ash both went 2-1. And then
I think played a tournament.
Yeah. I took this as just practice games.
It's the Luke Hilda, barbecue.
It was a vibe. It honestly was a vibe. I think
it was a nice weather.
Yeah, it was bloody boiling.
Was it on the Saturday you went?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Saturday was I was in Cornwall, which is why I can go, and that was I got really burnt from
It was not really nice. I think Ali went 1 and I don't know if Ali went 1 and 2 and then Luke went 0-3, or it's other way around. Ali might have gone 0-3 and whatever.
Wait, was this the one you said that he'd allow heroic hold?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be pleased to know, Vince. First game versus Farmer. I think it was first turn.
I was a Theoden as well.
First turn or second turn, I go, you're gonna Herc hold me here, mate. He went, oh, calls Herc hold with his
Let's go.
So hard.
and it was pretty typical. And it was one of the lists that is obviously Herc hold is very, 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 very good for.
Yeah.
Farmer was so waiting to whip out a heroic hold.
It was in use that weekend. And
so what's the consensus on heroic hold then?
It's been tested in the field.
Yeah, exactly. Now we a bunch of gamers have play tested it.
The verdict is out.
It kind of it's a bit odd because if people hurt cold, you just stand still.
Yeah.
So like you just stand still, then they move, and then you shoot. So,
is that what you did?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It'd be. I think if you were to hold and march for certain lists, it'd be decent, but it's very niche. I'll say that.
Was the day as a whole as vibey as the one last year?
Oh yeah, it was.
Right.
We had all 3 games outside, game 2 and 3.
Lush.
Boiling, dad lunch stuff, and then barbecue in the evening.
That was banging.
Yeah, it was beers are flowing. It was a vibe.
Beers are flowing. Outdoor gaming. Can't beat it. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on from Sam's list to Ben Haslam's Dragon Emperor list. If you could take us through it for the Spotify listeners.
Yeah, it's Dragon Emperor, 18 Black Dragons with Pike and Shield, Rutabi, 9 Eastlings with Shield, 5 with Pike and Shield, and then 1 Cataphract with the Drum. And then there's a captain with 2 Eastlings with Shield and 2 with Bow. So pretty standard. Could have gone with the double Dragon Knight, but last time I ran that, I felt like I was missing Rutabi's Fight 6 and the Master of Battle. So I've gone back to Rutabi. I'm cursing the FAQ because if I had those 30 points, I'd have a Brawl gear instead of the captain. That sort of makes the list more scary. So it's hurt it a bit there. But the FAQ is right.
Yeah, I think you like the fact that you can still get this list with 40 models at 700. Like this is still clearly a very good list.
Yeah,
this is still really good.
Yeah, so like just before it's so busted.
Yeah, it was nice to have Brogy, Rutabi, and the Emperor for 700.
I mean,
it drops it down to 36. Right. Pardon?
It felt right to sort of have the 3 new named heroes, right? But probably a bit over.
It drops it down to 36 models. If I put Brogy in instead of the captain, that just feels a bit low for this Eastling horde, where you still want the numbers to be as high as possible because they don't do masses of killing; they just win the fights all the time.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of Fight 5 at this event, so see how it does.
Like at 750 last year. With the 30 points, like I had axes all in my front row. Like there was just so much more that you could do with it, where obviously now like you've had to sort of make a choice on what you're going to do, and obviously that's how it should be, right? But yeah, I'm not against obviously taking Rutabi over the 2 Dragon Knights. Like the Master of Battle is just so good, and for he can really get into positions with the re-rolling to wound against trap models where she can get quite killy. Even without Brawl gear, you put her into a hero and she's doing a lot of damage. 2 bows as well. I would have loved to see them in the Emperor's Warband though for the little black dragon. Courage 5. Can't beat it.
Yeah, but it's a waste of a Fight 5 model. Because you don't want to put your bowman on the front rack.
You do have 16 of them already, but yeah.
Yeah, but I've only got 18. It's now half the army rather than a lot more of the army.
Yeah.
Did you think about potentially going 38 models with more cav, 2 more cav?
I don't think it needs the cav. With the march and the drum, it's fast enough to get where it wants to go. And it's a very stripped out version of the Dragon Emperor. It's, as you can see by the amount of shield warriors there are.
Yeah.
It's very, very everything's kind of cut back as much as possible. To squeeze those heroes in.
Yeah, you want to hit the 40 models. That's sort of
the. Yeah, didn't know if the maybe two extra cavs, depending on some scenarios, would be thought about. But no, I 40 models make sense, especially with when any you can make all of your models move 9 anyway, as essentially a cav at that point. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Vince, any thoughts on you before we move on?
No.
No? Yeah, it's really. So at 700. Okay, so we will move on from this one to Vince's list. Assault on Helm's Deep. What is this? Would you like to run through it for us?
This is Assault on Helm's Deep. We have the commander with shield, 6 crossbows, 8 pikes, 1 banner pike, and the demo team with 2 flame brands extra. Then we've got captain crossbow, 7 crossbows, 10 pikes, 2 ballistas for 43 models.
Filthy assault, Vince.
That's a nice fun list.
Look
it's
at
there
you
to give everyone a very enjoyable game. Hopefully come away 6-0 and everyone's happy.
Vince about to win a GBHL 100 with Assault on Helm's Deep. It does what Assault does, I guess, right? Double blister with a bomb. Crossbow spam.
Yeah, I know there's not a lot to say about this. It's just going to sit there and just ragdoll armies as it comes towards it. That's pretty much it.
The bomb's really important in this list because the crossbows and the blisters are basically saying you have to run at me really quickly or I'll shoot you. But the second you run at an Isengard list with a bomb, if you kind of run in after before they've moved, they can always just send the bomb up and blow up 5-6 models of the army. And even if they don't do that, just having it hovering at the back as a threat is kind of terrifying, certainly for the lower model armies. So having that kind of encouragement to move towards the Uruks, but also that bomb keeping you away from them when you've got or when the opponent's got priority, it's a real dilemma for your opponent.
Yeah, it's a pretty potent combo.
Pretty cheesy from you, Vince. Pretty cheesy from you, Vince.
Yeah, pretty cheesy. This reeks, but in the best way.
I don't know what. Obviously, Veto is good for this, but also bad. Like it's a bit of a. It's definitely better than worse, but it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah, I think Veto kind of helps everyone in a way. So, which means it helps nobody.
It just helps some lists more than
it helps the most skewed lists, but if your list is kind of balanced enough, it kind of just cancels everyone out, doesn't it?
Like
maybe
you could get some form of Maelstrom mission with then a dom, for example, and then you're not loving it at that point. But
it's still Urukai, isn't it?
It's still Urukai. What 6 of them are on the siege thing. I don't know if you'd be better off going the normal, just double blister with normal like Lursen or Vrasku and a bomb.
Oh, you mean just standard Isengard?
Yeah.
Only really. It doesn't have the bomb though. I think it's the bomb which really takes this list up a notch. Able just to blow up a hero in the turn, or just the threat of it.
It's still a threat in normal Isengard though, right? You just don't get to reroll the.
No, in terms of points, I don't think you can actually fit everything in. Like the 700 point Isengard list, because the you get the extra warband space with this legion. You can't fit as many guys. You need 3 heroes, and then you can't take the bomb and ballista or 2.
What was Jake's list at Preston?
Yeah,
1 ballista, 1 bomb, I think. You can definitely get it with a blister and a bomb and the 3 heroes and your Crebain. So you've got more maneuverability as well with the Uruks.
Does he have like 40 models? I think that's
No, I think it's
39 models. I think it is.
39
is what it runs out at, which is pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's
but you just got 3 really killer heroes.
I mean, don't forget that ballistas still reroll once to hit and scatter. I mean, it's
not enough.
That's not nothing.
Rerolling ones is just like.
No, for the scatter though, it's still good.
Yeah, it can still be really good. It's just like generally over a large sample size, over an event, it's just nowhere near as potent as it obviously was. But
three names,
it will be really good.
Heroes is always going to be overall more beneficial than rerolling ones. Like
the bomb is actually a lot better in this Legion as well. You get the a much better chance of getting the 2d6 wounds.
But most models have 1 wound.
Yeah, I know, but
it's kind of overkill.
Then, yes. I mean, for a hero,
warnings.
That was fucking elite. Bro.
You're not wrong. Most models in the game.
Most models in the game do indeed have only 1 wound. But obviously, in the standardizing guard is a 1 in 6 chance. It's a dud, isn't it? So 101.
Yeah.
I see your point though. I mean, it doesn't have the insane maneuverability from the Crebain, which is sad, but just going to have to live with that.
Sadness. Yeah. Lack of Crebain. Okay. I think on that note, we will move on from Vince's Sortenhelm's Deep list to an even more boring list. Lots of our lists quite boring. Thank God.
I think Sam should go through this one.
This is generally copy and pasted from his Masters list. So this is Ashley Walger Mordor 7 Horde list.
Okay.
This has the Witch King Ragnar as his leader. 3 might 13.
The enthusiasm there.
2 Orc Trackers, 8 Moranons with Shield Spear and 8 Black Nuns. The Mouth of Solon on Armored Horse. 5 Trackers, 5 Black Nuns, 3 Moranons with Shield Spear, and 1 Moranon Orc with Spear. Gorbinator with 2 Orc Trackers, and then Sooly Dooley with 2 Serpent Riders.
You sound like a born and bred Witch King Suladan player there, Sam. It's not your name.
I mean, I've used Witch King Suladan before. I actually don't want to admit that, but I have. Admittedly, I took.
Shame.
Did you enjoy it?
I took a way more lemon list with
Sandman. Yeah,
I took Sandman, so it was way more cool.
Did I play you with that list at the Guildford Club?
Might have done. Yeah, he probably did.
Because I played you in a practice game, and I think, that was the last time I went
there. Yeah. I mean, this is Ash's Masters list, which is he's taken for 3 years straight now. So
it's how many times have we featured this?
Yeah,
100-point event on the channel.
At Luke's house, he did take something new. I'll give him credit. But he missed this and is happy that he reverted back. So I assume that was his 3 games for the whole 3 years, or the next 3 years, and so this will continue to be seen for the forever future.
Many event previews to come. I mean, for someone who's maybe watching, this could be the first one of our event preview episodes. How do we sum up the Witch King Suladan list? This list, Ash's list, in say
cost effectiveness. Full stop. Move on.
in one word.
Effective.
Undercosted plus undercosted equal this. I.e. Black Num undercosted, Tracker undercosted,
Witch King
undercosted, Sully undercosted, and then you get this, and it all blends very well.
It just works.
So what you're saying is this list should be an 800-point list.
No, not 800 point.
750.
If it was this at 750, it'd still be really good.
Yeah,
probably.
It'd be good still. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's
with everything it brings is still great.
Yeah, 2 fate on the Witch King could be interesting when it comes to the amount of Legolas's. But that's the only real thing. I think because there might have been an influx of Legolas.
Ash just rolls well, so it's fine.
True that. Double march, and the warbands are sorted out for Divine and Conquer as well. So
he gets the seal of approval.
Back to boot as well.
Yeah. I think that's probably all the time we have to spend on it. We will move on to an even more boring list. No, not quite as boring. We don't need to spend too long on this either, because I guess we just kind of spoke about it with Vince's assault list. But this is the other version, the pure Isengard, and this is obviously Jay's list. He has taken this plenty. And last year he took Assault on Helm's Deep, but this time he's going for pure Isengard, led by Lurtz, who is leading 5 Eric's with crossbow, 5 with pike, 1 orc with Baron Spear, and 1 bomb team. I think he has 2 flaming brands there, and 1 Crabane. Then he has Vrasku leading 6 Eric's with crossbow, 6 with pike. Gorolf leading 4 with pike and 1 orc with spear, and then 1 ballista. So 38 models, 13 bows, plus the ballista, I think that is, and then 10 might. So this is the other version, I guess, of Vince's.
Yeah, what we were talking about.
Yeah, you have the 3 named heroes. You've still got the 1 ballista there for the threat, with the bomb team as well. So slightly lower model count, but yeah.
I mean, this list is. Yeah, I was debating between this and Assault. I mean, this list is still pretty good. It's just, I don't know. I don't know which is better. It's just different. This has just got different tools.
This is better in combat. So when you play a blinding light list, this has got more to it than just the bomb to answer. It's got 3 choppy heroes, because although Vrasku can shoot, he's actually pretty strong. He's got that strength 5, fight 5. So you've got 3 choppy heroes with all those pikes behind them. There's a decent combat punch as well.
I think it's the fact that as well you've got 9 might with the 3 heroes that would essentially be at the fight, with the 10th being on the ballista, compared to the assault list, which has only 4 might at the fight. Plus
and the Assault on Helm's Deep list was 43 models, I think, which is 5 more than this, but 3 of them are on a ballista at the back again. So it's only 2 more in the battle line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 of these are orcs.
So.
Yeah, sorry.
2 of these are orcs.
They're not going to be at the front, they're at the back. They're just there.
It's a Crabane.
If we're going to split hairs here.
That is what we do. That is what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I agree. I think this list is better in combat. I'll give you that. But
both are strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blinding Light, it's like, yeah.
Thing is, against Blinding Light, this list also just kind of doesn't.
No, but Lurtz and Gorolf can go in, strike up.
Yeah.
Against a load of the Guardian of the Fountain Court, butcher them. Vrasku can go in, butcher a few more elves.
Yeah, more might.
A load of pikes in there. Yeah. They've got more might. They can call more moves. It's just got a bit more. It's just got a bit more to it when it's playing right at the top tables against those other tricky lists.
Yeah, with the veto, like I guess you can, try and get those shooting scenarios, Vince, with your list. Opponent is going to be looking.
I was thinking.
So, but yeah,
this is more well balanced. But then I thought with the veto, I could probably exploit the more skew kind of flavor of the assault.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is really good too, I think.
Yeah, and Jay's obviously very experienced. He's used it a lot. So, okay, I think we will leave it there. And I believe that is the end of the list. So we are going to move on to the tier list, where the bottom tier this week, it had to be Scotland. Now, I do apologise to any Scottish viewers. I think we do have some of them that watch, and I have Scottish blood. So I didn't want to watch them lose, but they lost to Hull.
Tough shit, guys.
And
lol.
You have to hold it. I mean, it was horrendous. You have been named to the bottom tier this week. So for the Spotify listeners, how our tier list works. So if you are the very best list, you are aiming to be in our lemon category. And then descending down from there, the names of the categories are silly, nervous, dog, and then this week, Scotland. So we will kick things off with Adam's Mordor Horde list.
Nervous.
Is it Scotland? Adam was advocating for this being lemon.
It's definitely not lemon, and it's definitely not silly nervous.
I'd give it silly nervous.
This is probably going to go 4 and 2.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, the 4 and 2 definition, it's silly nervous.
So
no, that is no.
That's not the definition.
That is not a silly nervous list.
Why?
It just doesn't. It's a fast moving horde. Sure.
It's not silly nervous.
I personally wouldn't be confident that I would beat that nearly every scenario with my list. I don't think your list, Elliot, would beat that nearly every scenario. I'm
not saying like that it isn't a list that doesn't have merits. I don't think there's enough to it. Like, sure, you've got a big horde and it moves fast. I think to jump up into the silly nervous category, you've got to have a bit of sort of like, you've got to have a win factor, like.
It's just a bunch of fight 3 chumps.
Yeah, it's still got Fury, still has Flameburst, still has Magic.
Tesco Wraith as a leader. I mean, it's not silly nervous.
It has like, it isn't a Witch King. Like, sure, it's got some magic and it's got a couple.
Magic's not great. Yeah, the magic's not great.
But
it's got Zagdush though.
I think a lot of people would. It looks worse than it is. I think when
I'm not saying that I think it's bad, but like
people will underestimate this.
Yes,
yeah, I think me, you, and Vince would all struggle against this.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it is going to be hard to kill that many D6 models. Like
I think my list will struggle as well against it.
Yours is the best. It's because it's like 5 and.
But you just got drowned by pikes.
Yeah.
I don't think my list struggles at all.
It definitely would.
What
your list is going to have 1 turn of shooting.
Yeah, you get 1 turn of shooting.
And then you've got 50 orcs in your face going, come at me. Both wounding each other on 5s.
Interesting.
You get 24 inch deployment. He moves 12 inches, and you're not on the border. You're not deploying on the board edge. So you realistically get 1 proper turn of shooting, and then.
But I outfight him.
The thing is, though,
he would still have. He'd still
have strength 4 pikes.
But he'll go around them pikes.
The amount of those pikes that will be tagged off, and you'll have.
I mean, if we're talking about we're fighting in the Sahara Desert, yeah, but
I'm not sure though.
It's not quite as simple as that, is it?
In that direct matchup, but I mean, what Vince kills, say, like 2 or 3 reshooting or something in that.
He kill more than that.
I kill way more than that.
Say that, right? So the model count isn't too different at that point.
Exactly.
It's got 43 as opposed to Jay's 38. So the model count isn't too different, and he does outfight him.
That's 37 models. So Vince has 37 models in his line. Even if Adam loses 6, he still has 46?
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Vince having 43. Sorry, but yeah, no.
No, I completely outfight Moranans. Even Adam.
Only if you roll 6s.
I think based on
4 with 3 dice.
You won't have
he'll go around the back.
I'm going to have 3 dice everywhere. But
yeah, I know, but like obviously, I don't think he outnumbers me massively.
He'd have 6. He'd probably have 6 more models or so before he got to you.
And I guess with the high fight, that's not that big a difference.
Like, exactly.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends how the shooting.
I'm just surprised you actually think like Moranans would outfight Uruguay. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, your bomb does nothing because of the ring wraith, and you're just being able to just flame burst 1 Uruk in between, and then your back pike Uruk can't fight. Like his definitely has tricks that would negate yours. I think it'd be harder than you think.
You could flame burst your leader.
Yeah, piloted well. That is genuinely pretty good to you.
Yeah.
The bomb does nothing, and you get 1 turn of shooting. Because you just transfix the bomb guy. That's it.
So that's the direct matchup. I'm still not sure it has enough to tip it into the other kinds of lists we usually see in the
yeah, I don't see it personally.
I'm not saying it's top
Personally,
of,
I don't see it, but
because it's the first list. It looks odd being in Silly Nervous, but like it would be at the bottom of Silly Nervous. I think a lot of things would be above it, admittedly, but like it's still.
It looks like we're
I
going
think Adam won't go through interview.
We're going to have to roll.
Adam will not go through interview this list.
We're going to have to. And seeing as we're talking about a Mordor list, we are going to roll a Mordor dice. And we're going to get... Okay. I didn't even say what we're rolling for. On a 1, 2, or 3, nervous.
1, 2, 3 is the bottom one. 4, 5, 6 is the top one.
Okay. Can we see here? Yeah. That is a 6 there. So it is going in Sea Nervous. Okay. That looks odd up there, but hey.
My mind's telling me no.
My mind's telling me no.
Adam's going to be fucking stoked with that. Okay. We will move on to my last alliance list.
Silly
nervous again. So the list has got proven history of doing 4 and 2 or better,
and there's no way it's worse than Adams. No way.
Yeah, like it is probably. Let's say Adams was in nervous, I would put mine like right down here. You know, because I think at 700 it's not that strong, and it just moves up.
But there's no world where it's worse than Moranon's.
I would also do it against that.
Yeah, just leave it like that. I mean,
like
are you both? Are you saying it's actually worse than?
Sam's preparing his argument here.
I think if played optimally, this is better. However, if this has way more margin for error.
Yeah. Adam just runs up the board and he just goes, lol.
Yeah, you need to play this. You need to not really make a mistake, and then this is above it. I think if you have the slightest of mess ups, I think you'll lose. I think the smallest mistake will lose you a game with that list. Yeah. And that's the only reason I would say maybe below, just because like James has played countless number of tournaments with that list and has used Last Alliance for good God knows how long. But I think it's one that you really need to know, like in and out, and know in every scenario what to do. I just think the margin of error is way larger.
Yeah.
So I think played optimally above, with a few mistakes here and there. I personally would say below.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, yeah, it probably tips it. So we'll leave it as is.
Yeah, leave that.
Okay. We'll move on to Ben's Dragon Emperor list. Up into Lemon. I would probably vote no.
I'd put Silly Nervous, I think.
Yeah, top of Silly Nervous.
Where I would also put it.
Well, so Galadriel does a fair amount into this, to be fair, with Fight 6. Isengard does maybe a number with the bomb and the.
It could struggle with the field, couldn't it, Sam?
Yeah.
Yes, which I think it's a Silly Nervous because depending on the matchups, it could do well, but it could also struggle depending on who it's playing and what it's playing. But it's a solid list for the scenarios.
Yeah, I think your veto would be interesting to see what gets like
what I play.
Yeah, because
you don't really mind too much with playing movement or shooting scenarios, because if
it's happy to play pretty much any of the scenarios.
Yeah, because if
it gives me more flexibility going against what the opponent's list is.
Yeah, if you play against something that's got loads of shooting, well then you just drum march at it. Your D6, you'll probably be fine for a turn. You've also got the movement to play the movement scenarios as well, and obviously in a combat sort of heavy scenario, you're the Dragon Emperor battle line, so you're sort of able to, you're not too worried about what you're facing necessarily.
Yeah,
I think it's right there.
I think it goes there. Yeah. Okay, we will move on to Sam's Halls of Thranduil with Lake Town list. I would probably put this sandwiched right there in between me and Ben. I would vote. I'd say it's probably better than my list.
It's very close.
I think at 700, it's much better than my list. I would say the Emperor, just being the Emperor, probably has more consistency overall.
But yeah, Ben's is just slightly edges it because of the movement.
Yeah.
But yeah, very close.
Obviously, Thranduil and Leggy are, a great combo. Obviously, you've got the shooting with Leggy and like the +1.
Yeah.
Tearing everything from Thranduil. So it's got, really good sort of tech. The Emperor is just what the Emperor does and still really, really strong.
My list in a head-to-head would guaranteed win, but it's only like I think the ballista, the two crossbow lists are my biggest issue. Nothing maybe depending on Adam's list on scenario, but the rest of them I think I would be guaranteed to win. Not guaranteed to win, but I'd be likely.
Strong words there, Sam.
Yeah.
You're confident going into this
Big
event?
words.
It's just Thranduil Swords I think is probably the biggest Emperor killer.
Yeah.
In the game, because you get
no. You know what the biggest Emperor killer is, Sam? It's Beornings with a bear and then Thranduil, and then I don't need to roll any dice.
Oh,
I'll just pack up my army and go.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, it included Thranduil Swords. I'll admit. I think the buildings helped. Yeah, but just being able to charge 2, get 5 attacks and wound on 5s, rerolling 1s because you're always going to fail on him with then plus doing around at fight 6, and then sure Legolas doesn't really do anything in that matchup because there's nothing really to kill, but you still just charge in and kill 2. Like it's
yeah.
It's still fairly consistent. Like I could see it being either put below Ben or above Ben. It's cutting hairs really, but I think the only one that is the 2 ballista lists are the biggest problem when it comes to scenarios for me. But and maybe Adam. I'm not going to count Adam out because again I'd be actually scared depending on scenarios with that.
Yeah.
Are you happy with it there as well, Ben?
Yeah, happy there.
Yeah, cool. Okay. We will move on to Jay's Isengard list with the 3 named heroes.
I think this is a lemon list.
It's either high nervous, high
this has the potential to win the event.
Yeah.
It's hard to discount that.
Lemon.
I think.
Are we saying it's better than Dragon Emperor?
Strong chance to win the event.
I think
is it actually better than Dragon Emperor?
It's just does the Dragon Emperor excel enough in Veto? It's Jay can achieve more with Veto compared to Dragon Emperor. And does that tip it up? Because I think usually when we rated it, it's usually been in Silly Nervous, but with Veto, and obviously Jay knows what he's doing with it. Does that tip it up? I think it might.
It's going to come down to how the custom pools are made.
Yeah. I'd imagine they'd be randomly rolled for. But
the custom pools could be really, really, really OP for lists like that, and I'd put it in lemon, or they could be hindered a little bit and not have as easy time as they think, and then be put in Silly Nervous. So I'm really not bothered where it goes.
Yeah.
So Isengard is strong in what? 12, 13, 14 out of the 18 scenarios.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe only 4 it doesn't really want to play.
Yeah, Jay's list is better in the ones that it would inherently be bad at compared to Assault.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would put it above normal Assault, but depending on whether it's lemon or Silly Nervous, I don't know.
I'm totally down to put it in lemon.
I think it's in lemon because this has potential to win the event. This could go 5-1 and win the event, or an Isengard list similar to that could.
Yeah, because I would usually see it there, but yeah, with the Veto, I think out of all these, it gains the most by the Veto.
Yeah, go on then, put it in lemon.
At the top like this, it just all comes down to matchup, like the matchup and where you play what. Like if in a pool where it's favored to shooting, if you play against an Emperor, you're like, oh, you know, and one of Elias, this could do really well and go thingy. But then if you play against an assault thing and Assassin or Fog of War and Lords and it's in the same thing, you're a bit like, oh, I've lost kind of thing. So it's just very
a lot of it comes down to how it's rolled and things. So yeah, okay, we will put Jay up 11. We'll move on to Vince's Assault and Helms D.
Silly nervous. It just doesn't quite lack the fighting prowess that the plain Isengard does, but it's still a very strong list.
Yeah,
that again could go 4 and 2 at the tournament.
I think this will minimum go 4 and 2. The only problem is that the number of blind lights is a problem.
And how many Vince plays is
yeah.
The
It has the potential to do that.
Is it that much worse than Jay's though?
The difference between Lemon and Silly Nervous, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, like I would probably put it. I mean,
you don't really have any play into Lothlorien. That's the problem.
It's either going like between Ben and Sam, or maybe even here. It's going somewhere here above me.
No, it's all in the same tier.
Yeah, like this tier just becomes based on who plays who when.
Yeah,
If I avoid all blisters, I would put myself at the top. If I don't, I'd put myself at the bottom. Like it's just how
have to
it is.
Look at it as like over the 6 games, what do we think is more likely to happen? And obviously it's hard to say, especially with Veto, where it's all going to come down to the pools of the scenarios. And
I think maybe they're above Ben's, either there or above. But again, it's so fine margins that I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
Do you think Veto helps my list more than Jay's?
No.
Yeah, it's a
Jay's
case of
more flexible and can respond to his opponent better.
Yeah, Veto is good for your list, but it's like the ones that you're still going to get countered like with lists that scenarios that are going to be like, I don't know, like a Dom or a Breakthrough, because
it would just depend like what combination of scenarios come when.
I think Jay has an easier time at having a bad combination of scenarios and still winning. You don't.
Yeah, and because yours is leaning heavier in shooting, it's going to hit you harder when your opponent vetoes the shooting scenario in the pool for that round.
Jay's is better at Maelstrom as well, with a bomb on Lurtz. As well. That's quite scary.
Yeah, it's roughly around there. Like we say, we're really splitting hairs. So, and we will move on to Ash's Witch King Suladan list, the final one,
which is Scotland for originality.
So yeah.
Scotland for originality, and then I'd probably say what events?
It's probably a Lemon list, isn't it? Because again, it's another one that could go 5 and will probably could go 5 and 1, and could win the event. So it probably is a Lemon list.
It's either going top 2 nervous or Lemon.
I prefer to play the Isengard list to the Witch King list personally, but I don't think there's much between Jay's list and Ash's list.
Yeah, again, it's like Ash's. I think the stuff there. So Ash's list doesn't really want to play the blisters. However, it's not horrendous because you have transfix for the bomb, and if you get there in a 20-point scenario and you don't lose horrendous amounts, it's fine. But a lot of the Loth lists and like my list, he would still struggle into, because just having a large amount of elves or whatever, is still going to be tough for it. So I think Ash will go. He'll go. Obviously, he will go minimum 4 and 2 minimum. But like, it's a case of decent matchups. I think he'll go 5 and 1. Good matchups, he'll go 6 and 0 or whatever, other way around. So
yeah, I think it's got to be a Lemon list for that reason.
I think he belongs up there, especially with his track record of using it as well. He won this event last year,
Yeah,
So.
I hope that his. I hope the amount he's played it would bring it to 11. I think if it was a newer person using it, admit I don't think it's very hard to use, but if it was a newer person using it, it'd be a little bit lower.
Yeah. The only thing I think it's just looking at all these other lists, it just doesn't feel right to have Adam's list there. In my view, it just belongs down there. Come on, that looks way better now.
You rolled a dice, mate. Leave it in there.
I know.
Yeah, Gollum's game is decisions. I decided by dice now.
Yeah, come on.
Rather than looking at
this
and making informed decisions.
I think that list will surprise people. I think people should watch out for that list.
Adam will also have a great time with it. He'll yeah. So and then we will leave off Ali and James because they're not there, which is sad. But any closing comments before we wrap things up? No, I think
no, we're good.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for watching another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.